The premise to Dauntless is very simple. You, a slayer, either by yourself or cooperatively in a small group with other players, arm yourself with a weapon type that catches your eye and take on the task of venturing out to distant islands to fight and dispose of different behemoths. Each behemoth is unique in the way it chooses to fight back and poses different challenges meant to be overcome with skill and preparation. Slaying a behemoth awards you materials that allow you to transform those spikes, tails, and beaks that you gathered from the fallen to fashion new weapons and armor to tackle more and more difficult breeds of behemoths. Those weapons, armor, and all manner of items take on the attributes and appearances found in those behemoths themselves and allow you to use their strengths to exploit different elemental or damage type weaknesses found in other behemoths, to fashion equipment to support a playstyle that just feels good to play, or to counter a specific behemoth's behavior or moveset, or most importantly, to look good. While you may craft and upgrade more powerful weapons and armor, the Slayer that you've created does not increase in power, and any stat bonuses or armor rating act only to make the mistakes of being hit more forgiving and easier to recover from, or as a tool to flex your own mastery over an encounter. Instead, there's a large emphasis placed on your own skill. It is possible to clear any and everything in the game with the default sword and armor, as there are no guaranteed hits, although I dare anyone to try, as when you really get right down to it, all that fancy armor isn't going to help you when an Aether-charged Bloodfire Embermane locks eyes and prepares to charge. And this highlights a core tenet of Dauntless where personal skill heavily outweighs your character's power, and to almost think of the weapons and armor you choose to adorn yourself with as trophies, proof that you fought and won. Without fluffing up any of the minor features that support this, that's the game. That loop of hunt monster for parts, create gear with those parts, and then hunt new monsters for parts, that's Dauntless, and sometimes simple is good. Today marks the release of Dauntless's open beta, a soft release of sorts where there will be no more wipes and you're playing for keeps now, and while I don't want to defend any shortcomings of the game outright, what I will say is this is not quite just the release of a game, this marks the beginning of a journey, as while the game is releasing in a state that gives you more or less a complete gameplay experience with something akin to a beginning, middle, and end, it still is better described as the start of something, as it does lack a lot of polish you would get with a game that claimed it was done. Dauntless takes the newly aether-charged monster hunting genre, removes the price tag, throws it on PC, and applies the constant update cycle, the as-a-service model that you may be more familiar with from MMORPGs, Warframe, Path of Exile, or other games that you see evolve, change, and improve drastically, regularly, over time. In this way, Dauntless will never be done. You aren't paying that $0 entry fee for a fully polished experience, but what is there is more than enough to kick back and have fun with some friends for hours and hours in a severely underrepresented game genre. Whether this all means that you play the game every day, you check it out once a month, or give it even more time to develop, Ramsgate will be waiting for you. This in itself has always been what excited me the most about Dauntless. As far as genres go, this one fits so well with the service model because there are very few big moving parts to the content and the design is incredibly modular and scalable. The only real concerns to a hunt are the equipment you brought in, the behemoth you chose to fight, and the island the fight takes place on, all of which are variables that can be pulled from and shuffled from much larger asset pools that are easily added to give varied experiences where those additions don't require a restructuring of the game. Each of those variables as well can be picked apart and expanded and shrunk depending on the scope of what kind of experience they want to offer. Add in that once you reach Dauntless's endgame or evergame, you're at a point where the game rebalances itself and normalizes stat values of gear, where because your choice of gear is based on elemental affinities, stat bonuses, active abilities, new gear doesn't invalidate older gear, as is the case in other games utilizing heavy vertical progression, and instead will give you options to enforce your preferred playstyle. Do you focus on survivability to learn the behemoth's behaviors? Do you kit yourself up to offer the most amount of support to your allies or to apply debuffs to the enemy? Or have you managed to obtain an exotic item, a piece of equipment that truly embodies a behemoth's essence, and create a build around the effect that that has given you? no matter your choice, with a more static power level, as they add more and more ways to crank the difficulty up to 11, where the fights get harder but your power stays the same. Those challenges are not gear checks, they're skill checks, and best believe that that learning curve kicks in against even the most seasoned gamers. So Dauntless, in effect, will grow wide, not tall. Those minor features that I brushed off before, the stuff they build around the core gameplay, really ends up just being the why you hunt, right? And whether that's changing the way you hunt to obtain a specific part of a behemoth for a craft, whether that's taking on the hardest challenge the game has, fulfilling daily and weekly and event quests, completing all of the armor sets, making friends and killing time, looking for the perfect outfit, all good stuff, but secondary for me to just being able to hit that smug Gnasher in the face with my axe, because sometimes, and it's very common in this game genre, sometimes a boss in a box is its own reward, or rather, a boss on an island. So in the corny words of the team over at Phoenix Labs, the developers of Dauntless, are you ready to forge your own legend on the Shattered Isles? That is going to do it for me. Until next time, this is Fevir. Purse.